New Norfolk's physical strength, particularly in the contest. They closed the game up. There's no question about that. They closed it up, and I thought that in closing the game up, they enabled themselves to apply that physical pressure on the Clarence players, and they've got a number of the players in the Clarence side who are, slight of build and get knocked off the ball a little bit easier than perhaps the New Norfolk boys do as they go off the ground. I wonder whether, as we see Darren Denneman leave there, I just wonder whether that is his last game in statewide football, because there was a hint at the start of the season when I spoke to him that perhaps this was his last year, and New Norfolk might... I don't see any reason why they should want to get rid of him. I think he's been terrific for the competition, and he's certainly got a lot of football left in him, but perhaps he has played his last game and might be looking for greener pastures.
Man of the match, as adjudicated by the ABC TV commentators, Colin Alexander played very well, but it was one of those games, Noonan, Alexander. I thought Marnie was absolutely superb for the Eagles.
Yep.
And, well, it could have gone to any 3 or 4. Let's go down to Peter Chisnell now. He's talking to the man of the match, Colin Alexander. I thought one of the architects in Clarence's win. Cheers.
As well, Cole, under a bit of a cloud during the week, mate, but you really showed today that the legs were standing up all right.
Well, we're a running side, and I've always got a player on me that's sort of quick, so I've sort of got to try to run him round and run the legs off him a bit. And I played on young Tony Crennan, and we all know how good a player he is. So I think the drill was about even myself.
But obviously now going into the third one again, mate, a very important one. You'll obviously be working pretty hard during the week to get yourselves up again.
Yes, well, we don't actually mind playing every week. We think that our fitness might be a bit better than North Lonnie next week, so hopefully that will be the case.
Well, it's the two old champs against one another, of course, Stevie and David Rees-Jones. Should be a great game, and all the best, mate. I think this today has been a great game for football.
Yeah, it's good to see so many people here today to see the game. And, well, Stevie Wright's last game next week, so we want to finish it off well for him.
Well done, Colin Alexander. I think certainly best player on the ground today. Well done, mate. All the best for next week.
Thanks, Chizza.
Well, there you are, Colin Alexander. The man of the match, best on ground, as adjudicated by Bob Kenny and Chris Smythe. But I reckon that's one of the toughest decisions you've ever had to make on a footy ground. But he was a deserving recipient. I really thought that when the game was there to be won, when the clever things needed to be done, it always seemed to be Colin Alexander.
He appeared to be one of the few players on the ground today who was able to get some space, and when he did get that space, he used the ball long, he used it directly, and he had a big influence on the game. And I mean, we have to give a special mention, I think, to Michael Marnie on the wing. His performance was just outstanding, and I really want to pat young Burden on the back, because he did a terrific job on Noonan. Noonan, we could suggest that was best on ground because of his first half performance and probably set up the win, but Burden was great in the second half.
And the great tradition in State League football, I think over the nearly 10 years since it's been going, is North Launceston and Clarence. They've had some wonderful games over the years. There's been a close affinity. Steen Cremascothan played there. Nicky Clark from North Launceston. There was a great exchange of players. Graham Honeybell was another one. But all that forgotten next week. It should be a terrific grand final. People have been saying to me right through the winter, North and Clarence to the grand final. Well, it's happened, and I reckon I hope we get a terrific crowd. It should be a wonderful game of footy.
Well, North lost 1 game through the season. Clarence lost 2, not counting the last final lost against Norfolk. It's just set up for a magnificent match. 2 quality sides with quality players.
This was a quality game today. We're going to look at some highlights now, and really, when you think about this game, I think it's the best final by a mile. Cullen in the action there. Browning played well.
Yeah, Browning didn't get a lot of the football, but he did a lot of the very, very hard things, and that was the first goal of the game, kicked by Darren Denneman, and it was a classic goal, and it's just a little bit unfortunate that he was not able to exert a little bit more influence. And Dak there, of course, benched at half-time, and gee, that's going to be an interesting selection for the Clarence team next week as to whether they go with him or not.
But when he's moving around, he gives them a real option. Richie was good early on too, but again, I think he faded slightly towards the end of the game as well. So Clarence will be keen to keep these players fresh and fit and firing for 4 quarters, because against North you just have to do that.
Yeah, just on this ground there, the young Davey who came out of defence. That was one of the, I guess you could call it the goal of the day, but perhaps the fluke of the day that it went to Holsworth. Holsworth did well. Higgins was terrific on occasion. Stevenson did some very, very good things. And Gurry, I thought Gurry was wonderful for them too. He's just such an honest player. He works hard in defence and he gives them an option up forward. He runs deep into attack to try and give them that running option. But I just on both sides lack a key forward, and you look at the North Launceston side and they've got 3 or 4 players who can really kick goals. And Dak, against Chris Hills next week, if they put a player in front of you, that'll be a pretty physical contest, I think. In fact, I think the whole game next week is probably going to be one of the most physical games we've seen in 5 years.
It'll be a most interesting game, and we will talk about that. Here's Crennan. He never fails to impress me, Crennan, although he did drift in and out of the game a little bit today.
He was against some quality opponents. And when we look back, Norfolk only lost by 9 points as Higgins just dribbles through another one. I thought Higgins was good all day. Didn't dominate like he did in the last half against Clarence in the last time that these sides met. But
a 5-goal last quarter to New Norfolk. And really, they just carved into that lead all day. But Bob Keddy probably nailed it down earlier in our comments when he said, won't they rue that first quarter?
Well, just
they
look at it. 12 shots to 3 in the first quarter.
But really, the goal kickers was in. Dak kicked 2 in the first quarter and then was taken off. No major goal kickers. 2 by 2 and 2 by a lot of 2s and no more. So I think we can go to Stevie Wright now. I think I just got the nod that Stevie Wright is going to talk to Peter Chisholm.
Yes, I've got Steve right here. Steve, well, I must say, and I'll say this publicly, I think you're a credit to the game. You've been a credit to Tasmanian football, and you're in for 3 in a row, mate. Well done.
Yes, it was a bit touch and go there, but I was very proud of the guys, the way they just held there. But full credit's got to go to Norfolk. They just kept coming and coming and coming, and I thought they played very well.
You seem to be coming up very well, mate, under the hard games. I mean, they don't seem to be, putting your players off at all. I mean, you seem to be getting stronger all the time.
Well, it's all new to us. We haven't gone this way before, so it's all new, and I suppose you don't really know how the guys are going to come up. All we can do is ask them for their best efforts, and that's what they've been given.
Mate, your players through the middle of the ground again, your running players again, which are sensational, like young Jones and Cooney and those sort of blokes, really are working hard for you into the opposition back lines and so forth. I mean, into the opposition forward line. So, you're really working well across the centre of the ground.
Well, North Hobart is a ground where you must win across the centre. And, I've been pleased with those guys, but, even our back line, they've just been holding tight. And I suppose it's with those guys pushing down, giving them a hand out.
You've got new big players, of course. Young Sheen again has come up again today. I mean, he battled hard. He did a manful job again against Renee Peters, who's recognised as one of the top ruckmen. He done a good job again, the kid.
Yeah, he did. He's never going to be a ruckman who's going to get 30 possessions, but he's going to try his heart out and just give his best for us.
Well, again, mate, all the very best. You're in for 3 in a row against the old foe, of course. It's going to be a tremendous week next week, and all the best to you.
Thanks, Chisholm.
Good on you, mate.
And there you go. It'll be a great day next week for another reason. David Rhys-Jones and Stevie Wright probably playing their last games in Tassie.
Well, certainly Stevie Wright will be. David Rhys-Jones, the question mark there.
Well, I wish I could tell you what our telecast will be next week. Certainly live to the north of the state. Join us from North Hobart next Saturday. It should be a beauty. Bye-bye.